Welcome, everybody. First evenings with Aaron for 2024. Hard to believe we started this in 1989. It's been a long time. And I look out at your faces and I see faces that were back in my living room in 1989, 1991. That in itself is amazing to me. I want to welcome Colette, who will be channeling with me tonight so that Aaron and Yeshua or whoever else comes in can dialogue. So thank you, Colette. Everything changes. I'm sitting here in this room that's now my office. And back in 1989, it was my sculpture studio. I got up on ladders and stapled insulation to the ceiling. But other than that, it was just a concrete floored room with insulation. And it has this beautiful ceiling. I think you can see the seal. The wood on the ceiling, and these beams. I'm trying to see which way I need to steer the camera so you can see it. Okay. The beams and the wood boards on the ceiling. So I have wonderful memories of, led by Frank and many of you, up on ladders. Lynn, who's on our screen here today. A big thanks to Lynn. Applause to Lynn. Lynn cut this wood in his woodlot up north, cut it into boards and trucked it down here so that many of us could hang it on the ceiling. Lynn, thank you. And not a day goes by when I don't feel a sense of a thank you for this beautiful room. This is the power of Sangha, the power of love and of co-creating. I could never have done this myself. Len couldn't have done it himself. Frank couldn't have done it himself. Others of you who may have been there up on that ladder were just handing up tools. It took us all not just working together, but dreaming together. I'm sharing this for a reason, because this is, in a sense, the topic of Aaron's talk tonight. Co-creating. How we do this. I've had a dream for this room. It's probably something that would pull the ceiling down on my head, but maybe not. I have to investigate. I need to get more exercise. And I have a beautiful English saddle down in the basement that hasn't been used for 20 years. There are beams above my camp. I don't know if they're beams that will hold anything or not. I'd like to put a 4x6 beam going this way, wrap it with some blankets, hang it with heavy bungee cords, throw my saddle over it, and be able to rock back and forth and get exercise, swing on it, turn a movie on, maybe a John Wayne movie. So I'll have to find out from somebody if the ceiling beams will hold me on my saddle. So 30 years ago, I had 1,000-pound pieces of sculpture up there, but I assume they were supported by something other than just these beams. I don't remember. How do we dream and then manifest that dream? There's from Hal and I saw South Pacific over Christmas break, probably for the 10th time. And there's a beautiful song, "You've got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna make a dream come true?" Excuse my off-tune voice. What is our dream for 2024? Our personal dreams, our community dreams, our world dreams. Okay, I'm going to give you Aaron. He's going to introduce this, and then Aaron and whoever comes through Colette will have some discussion. And we're going to bring you all into it too, sharing your dreams a bit, and together bringing our energy together to help manifest these dreams. My blessings and love to you all. I am Aaron. I'm laughing at Barbara. If she had her choice, she'd be off there on a live horse, galloping down the road. What are your dreams? We all dream of world peace. We dream of a world in which nobody is starving or left to die alone in the ditch. We dream of a world in which each human, animal, plant, every sentient being is treated with respect. And I know you become frustrated because it seems we're far from that being ready to happen in the world. So much hate and killing, so much deprivation. I've been thinking a lot about this the past few months and discussing it with some of my friends. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight. You're here on a third density planet, evolving gradually into fourth or fifth density. You have a traditional way of creating in your world, of meeting yours and other people's needs. You negotiate a bit. You trade off. I'll do this for you if you'll do that for me. You hand people money and receive the goods. Sometimes it's a very benign form of exchange. For example, said to the child, "As soon as you get your pajamas on and brush your teeth, I'll read you a story." But there's still an exchange there, no matter how kind. As you move into higher consciousness, it's time to move past this kind of exchange as a way of co-creating in the world, creating or co-creating. We've talked often about the idea that yours is not really a linear reality, but a simultaneous one. While you are trying to invite something that will come into your future, I remind you, there is no linear time. That which you seek to invite is already here. You just haven't quite caught up to it, haven't uncovered it, but it's here. Good health is here. World peace is here. Respect for all beings is here. Love is here. And yet, as third density beings, you do live in a linear kind of time. I think of you as the generation of transition, moving from third density to higher density, third density consciousness to higher density consciousness. Third density everything into awakened consciousness. It only happens as fast as you are ready for it. And if it takes another generation or two, that's what it will take. But I think you're more ready than you think. Ready for a move from transactional consciousness to light co-creation. Let's unpack those terms a bit. Transactional consciousness, of course, you're familiar with. And as I said, it can be a very benign transaction. It can be a harsh transaction. Either way, it's still a transaction which is centered in a ground of self. All transactions that come from you are grounded in a sense, in a space of self. I will do this, I will give that. I am dreaming of world peace, and this is what I'm willing to do to help co-create world peace. But it's still self and an other transaction. Many of you have sat together in a meditation hall. Coming to a space of connectedness, where it seems like the meditators around you are just an extension of yourself. That there is truly no separation between. You've done walking meditation, where the earth under your feet and the growing things seem like a part of you. You don't say to the garden as you walk, "Won't you please bloom so I can see your beauty?" You just say, "Oh," because it's so beautiful. You are part of the garden. The flowers are blooming. The butterflies are blooming. You are blooming. There's a sense of non-separation and unconditional love. We're going to take a look tonight at how it feels to co-create from that space. I am not negating transactional creation. It's the way your world works for now. If you go into the gas station and say, I am going to co-create gas, and you open your gas tank, the gas station salesperson is going to come out and say, first you have to put money in the slot. But we're changing it. We can change it so that the sense of separation dissolves and all beings may live in peace, health, and happiness. Let's start by finding a, quote, home. A safe and beautiful space where each of you feel completely at rest and at ease. You may leave your eyes open or close. Find yourself in whatever place truly feels like home to you. Maybe you're singing atop a mountain. Maybe standing under a waterfall. Sitting by the seacoast, watching the waves roll in and break. Sitting by a river, watching it flow gently past. A garden, a meadow filled with baby lambs and their mothers. A meadow filled with your friends and loved ones. Feel yourself in this space and know it to be home. A place where you are safe and loved. Let your heart fill with the beauty of this space. Feel joy at the presence of loved ones, both human and spirit. Allow your body to release contraction and breathe in spaciousness and ease. Feel the warm sun and the gentle, cooling breeze. Smell the flowers. Hear the music, or the breaking of the waves, or the singing of the birds. You are home. You are loved. Let's spend a quiet minute or two here before I go on. Now think of something you would like to invite into your experience. Remember, this already exists. You are simply opening the space for it to come in to connect with you. There is no transaction here. You do not have to do or pay anything. Just to imagine and invite. Gradually, as you sit here, to whatever degree you experience it, allow the experience of light, of a soft radiance or a brilliance, however it comes to you. Or for those who do not experience light, you may experience higher energy or a beautiful sound or just a feeling of joy and ease. There's no right way to enter this field, no wrong way. You are always in this field, but mundane consciousness usually prevents your direct experience of it. As you begin to feel this love around you, this light or sound or energy, and feel yourself to be so much a part of it, you may be moved to just say thank you. Thank you. Into this space. Bring forth the memory of something you wish to invite to you. Maybe a deepened friendship or good health. Financial abundance or other forms of abundance. Love, joy. It is already so. It is already there. It is only your sense of separation that blocks you from the direct experience of it. The more you are able to experience its already present state, the more you are able to invite it into your physical life, your mundane human life. Take about 2 minutes in whatever beautiful home you have remembered for yourself. to think about what it is you are inviting. And without contraction, just to hold space for it. With a heart that says, thank you, thank you. If you note any tension in the inviting, just note it as tension. And take a deep breath and release and come back to that home space again. You may or may not be aware of spirit presence, but spirit is there and helping you, of course, supporting you. I'm going to be quiet now for about 2 minutes. Thank you. There is a term, Akashic field. It relates to the element Akasha. Some of you are familiar with this term, and I'm not going to expand upon it here. We have a workshop on January 20th. Barbara and Colette and some of us entities. And we'll go into more detail there. But basically, I've been inviting you to rest in the Akashic field, where you have access to everything, and invite that which you want, that which you desire, to come into your presence. People have asked me if I can use the Akashic field in that way. Can't very angry and hateful people do that? Not really. You can't really access this field except from a place of love and the open heart. So this was your own personal prayer. That's what you seek. The same thing works very much in the same way as a group. Coming into that space, we're all in the same space, whether this one sees it as a garden and that one sees it as an ocean beach and this one a mountaintop. It doesn't matter. Because within that Akashic field is everything. And you are where you are. So we're going to try something together as a group. And then I'm going to invite Yeshua or Mary or whoever wants to come in to talk with me some about it. I'm going to work with a simple topic tonight. Yesterday, Barbara's husband, Hal, was very directly exposed to COVID. A friend who comes to visit him every week came in coughing and said he had been getting a cold for a day or two, and he had a mask on. Barbara wasn't there when he came in, or she would have said, please just go home. But he came in. He turned on the television. He and Hal talk. They usually watch a movie or YouTube or something together and talk about it. He left. And about 3 hours later, Barbara got an email saying he felt sicker and sicker as he spent the afternoon at home. Tested positive for COVID. Let's try something here together. Many of you know and love Hal. We're going to bring Hal. I'm sorry he's not on the screen here. He's probably watching this debate on television. We're going to hold Hal in our hearts. And we're going to hold the COVID virus in our hearts. Because it's not something evil. It's simply a living organism, a virus, trying to survive, doing what any living organism does to survive. But the COVID virus cannot survive high vibration. Your inoculations are fine, but high vibration is the best thing I know to block this COVID virus from taking root in your bodies. So I'd like you to, if you don't know how, just visualize a loving-looking man, 87, gray-haired with a beard and twinkling eyes. Hold him. Invite him into your special sacred space. Hold that light around him and make a very clear statement that any COVID virus must leave. It has free will. It can stay and lose its power as a virus. But it may not attack him. Just holding that loving energy. And let's see if this circle, probably about 25 of you, holding that light. Let's just hold it around Hal. Barbara too, for that matter. But Barbara was only with him for a minute or two. Hal for 2 hours. Holding this space. Holding this light. Holding the intention for the well-being of this man. With a love. Feeling the circle gathered with a love. Co-creating together. knowing our power as the power of love and light, not creating that which is not, which is non-existent, but inviting to come into its fullest expression, that which is already existent. Here, how's health and the circle of light and energy and love around him? Seeing it, it is already there. No transactions, just holding love and light. Colette and I, along with a gathering of spirit, have spent many hours the past month talking about creation through third density transaction versus co-creation through higher density, envisioning, inviting, non-linear co-creation. The discussion has been fascinating. Colette and I are going to duck out here and just let spirit come through and talk about whatever they wish to, and I assume also to answer some of your questions.
Yeshua says he's going to speak first. Earlier today, I was so tired because I was up all night till 5 a.m. working on an editing project, and I was whining to myself saying, I can't do this, I can't stay awake. So Yeshua assures me if I fall asleep, he'll wake me up. So hopefully that won't happen. So give me a moment. My beloved friends, I am Yeshua. I need to put this on gallery view. I wish to see all of you. Yes, I assured Colette if she fell asleep, I would wake her up, but I don't think she's going to. So we truly have had so many wide-ranging, fascinating conversations over the last month, some lasting 3 hours or more. And much is coming from that. In due time, we hope we will share certain things with you that may be helpful. And as Aaron was saying, time outside of your third density realm is not linear. It is simultaneous. In the multiverse, everything is simultaneous. The third density is a very particular density for learning. And so it is different. There is the veiling, of course, that you're familiar with between third and fourth density, so that you don't have the memories at the ready of who you are and where you came from and even why you came. But now you are at the point in the shift from third to fourth density is to begin to start understanding the nature of simultaneity. And in order to access and move within that field of simultaneity, it is important to be able to, I would say, move into it, such as the meditation that Aaron just took you through, envisioning what it is that you desire or the place where you are at peace. Because what co-creates is intention, very clear intention. And for intention to be clear, you have to know all the parts of yourself. You have to know all the automatic thoughts and the automatic beliefs and the assumptions. For example, often you may think of something that you wish to do, but there might be a narrative or a script running right underneath that consciousness that you're not capable You failed at everything. Why will this be different? The world is, on a crash course of destruction. There's no hope. It could be a variety of things. Each one of you is different. So to move into co-creative mode, you need to have awareness not only of intention and being able to move into that energetic space, but awareness to see all the little stories, all the voices, all the judgments that are there. Those judgments do not prevent co-creation, because when you are aware of them, then they are not running the show. They run the show when you're not aware of them. And I'm sure you can think of just incidents in your daily life where you may have an intention and be working towards something, but all the while there's something else going on the sidelines telling you a whole different story. So when we talk about moving beyond transaction, and let me clarify that word for you somewhat. The human thinks of transaction as, oh, I choose the groceries, I go to the cashier, I pay for them. I decide to do something, I do it, and then I have to interact with somebody to complete it. That's a very simple way of looking at it. Transaction is appropriate to a third density realm. But when you wish to move outside of the third density realm to begin to embody more fourth density beingness, that is really the key word. It is beingness. Transaction, however well intentioned, is a way of living in the world and being with yourself as role and function. And that has its place, but you are more than that. And going back to what I was saying about the stories that may run underneath your intention, this causes a separation between you and your deepest self, between you and your idealized self. I didn't mean idealized in a judgmental way, but how you wish to be. So the first place of moving beyond transaction is inside your own self. When I say transaction, I'm talking about role, function. I'm talking basically about separation. So within your own self, however you conceive of yourself, the wholeness of yourself, however you term it, there is truly the fully awakened, vibrant, co-creative being that is active. You don't have awareness of it in your third density world. And then there is the human self that you see as limited, or who may have failed in some way, or perhaps has done things you wished you didn't, or perhaps hold great pain because things happened to you that by others you wished you didn't. None of that is bad. There's no judgment there, but it's to begin to move first beyond judgment of yourself. When there is judgment, there is separation. You are all things. You are your fully awakened self. You are your everyday self that does whatever you do, and there's no way to be perfect in this world. But to move into beingness, and beingness is to move beyond transaction. Beingness is to move into the essence of yourself, and from that essence to move into the field of co-creation. When you are separate inside yourself, you cannot fully move into beingness, either in your relationship with yourself or your relationship with others. And that fragmentation then comes into other aspects, including co-creation. There's no judgment about any of this. This is simply about awareness. So when you think of what it is that you wish for yourself, for the world, when you go into a co-creative mode, whatever that may be for each of you individually, hold it all in your heart. Hold your knowing of your full awakened self in your heart. Hold your knowing of the parts of yourself you wish you weren't there, that you judge. And as you come into peace with yourself, then you come into peace with others. This is not meaning that there's not a place in the world for you to address injustice, for you to improve certain things in your life, for you to work out relationships. This is not what I'm talking about. All those things are needed, but it's who you are in the midst of all of that. So when you move beyond separation inside of yourself, move beyond separation of all the parts of yourself, then you can walk more fully in non-separation in all these other ways, including co-creation. I will stop here for a moment. I'll pass this on to my brother Aaron or whoever wishes to speak. I will stay in the body. My love to you. I'm Yeshua.
I am Aaron. In meditation in classes, you've looked with me at what the Pali language call the skandhas, or aggregates. The physical body, the mental body, emotional body, feelings, consciousness itself. These have a certain kind of reality. Certainly, each of you does have a physical body. It's a different body than it was yesterday. Cellularly, it's changing. Cells sloughing off, new cells forming. It's never the same body. But there's a certain basic sameness to it, so that you can look at a picture and say, oh, that's me. That's my body. Your thoughts, your whole stream of consciousness. None of these are who you are. I think most of you have done this exercise with me, where you hold up the fingers. This is the form body. This is the thought, mental body. Feelings, etc., etc. Hold them up in front of your eyes, close to your face. Wiggle them around. All you can see is these fingers moving. Now, while they're still moving, look through them up at the screen and see me. You can see through the fingers, and you can see the fingers moving. One is a mundane reality, and one is a greater reality. Who are you when you are not these aggregates? When you let go of so much self-identification with the aggregates? Your human experience is based on learning how to live with kindness with the aggregates. Third density human is a realm of expression of free will. The free will comes in large part from the physical and mental and emotional bodies, and transcending those. So when there's anger, there's a direct experience of anger. There it is, wild, running all over, anger. And there's that which is not angry. There's fear running all over the place, and that which is not afraid. There's a body pain, very powerful, and that which is not in pain. On a plane before you were you. Some of you lived in Lemuria, for example, or on other planes, where there was no sense of a separate self. There was no physical body to experience pain. But there was also not a catalyst for free will choice to choose that which is grounded in love rather than that which is grounded in my sense of what I want. So you accepted the step to incarnate into a human body, where you would forget the essence that you are and get caught up with self-identification with the physical, mental, and emotional and other heavier bodies. And then out of free will, you would need to choose not to be slave to those bodies, but to come back to the true essence of your being again and again. So you've been doing this over and over and over. And most of you are waking up at this point. At least to the point where when you get caught up in some drama, sooner or later, there's the remembrance. This is just the story of that drama. I don't have to be so invested in it. I let it go. I step back and refind the loving heart. This is what you practice here on this heavy density earth plane. Now was a time to move beyond the separation of their density and remember who you are. To literally come home and to begin to co-create the dream with which you came into incarnation of a higher density earth, wherein beings of all sorts can live in peace, in love, with respect and care. This is what you are ready for. And yes, it's hard work, but you are so ready for it. I pass this back to Yeshua or whoever would like to speak. I am Aaron.
Thank you, my brother. I am Yeshua. And so what does it mean to co-create? How do you move into that state, not just in a more intentional way, but in a more embodied way, embodied with not only all the attributes of the physical body, such as the mind, the senses, the emotions, but embody that intertwined with the fuller energetic aspect of your body. Thoughts are incredibly powerful. Emotions are powerful. Actions, of course, are powerful. You are used to thinking of your actions, such as if you do something, let us say you want to build a house, you build a house, or let us say you do something you wished you hadn't, such as argue with your partner or whatever. But all actions also, everything has energetic ramifications in the co-creative realm. The co-creative realm can hold all of it. It is not simply a place where you think of everything is flat and peaceful, no movement, no emotion, nothing. It is not really quite like that. It is quite active. Every thought that you have, the energy of your emotions, the energies and intentions of your actions move into the co-creative field. So you may ask, well, Yeshua, if I'm really mad at someone and I think to myself, well, I wish they were dead, Does that have an impact? Well, it has an impact. It's not going to kill that individual because they also have their whole realm of co-creation and their intentions and their plans. But it puts a contracted essence into the energy realm. So the energetic potentials of co-creation change by the millisecond constantly with every being. Just imagine your earth only and all the beings upon her who have all come of free will choice, all putting out their energetics into the energetic field, whether they are neutral, contracted, whether they are open and spacious and loving. There's no judgment about this. But how do you draw to you with your intention into your co-creative field that which you wish to co-create, whether it's for you individually, whether it's for the world at large, whether it's goodness and blessing for somebody else, whether it's healing for the soil in your garden. It doesn't really matter what it is. How you do that is you embody it. And when I say embody it, I am meaning that you take not only your thoughts and intentions, you also take your emotions, you also take your energies into the co-creative realm. So when Aaron started this today with a meditation of him thinking of a place that is meaningful to you, where you feel at peace, where you feel at ease, where you feel open, where you feel creative, where you feel that you are not stuck and trapped and doomed to a certain type of existence. To call into co-creation, it is important to not just think it in a neutral kind of thought, to not just feel kind of chill, or if you wish. It is important to make that real to yourself. So let us say you wish to go into co-creation for, let us take something more immediate, for peace in your home. Perhaps in your home there's conflict at times. All these things are natural, but you wish to create a more harmonious home. Then when you go into this co-creative space, when you go into meditation, when you center yourself in this, however you do this, people have different ways, but to move into the open heart, the heart open, the heart spaciousness. Imagine that as you open this heart, that light, crystalline light just envelops you. Nothing is really exactly limited, but for your use of it, imagine being enveloped in this space of light, peace, beautiful music, color, a breeze. It doesn't matter what it is, it's what resonates with you. And then not only think it, visualize it. Doesn't mean you have to try and visualize it. Stay in it long enough till the visuals come to you. They will come to you of their own free will. If you go searching for them, say, I want this this kind of situation in my home, and I want it defined this way, and et cetera, et cetera. That really puts too many limits on your co-creation. But go into the space, open your energy field, your heart chakra, and feel, literally feel emotionally, physically, energetically, and mentally what that peace feels like in your house. Feel it in your body, embody it. And so that is the first step, to embody mind, body, spirit, energetic body. Embody it within your envisioning. Without the embodying and the envisioning, one goes about their day, perhaps very purposefully planning a certain thing, having a conversation, apologizing. Those are all necessary things. But when you wish to purposely draw into your experience to co-create it, then the first step is to be in it, literally to be in it. I cannot say how that will feel to each of you, but you probably have the experience of saying that you would like peace on earth. And you go into meditation, you consecrate, you envision. But in that place, you are all contracted because you are in grief for all the suffering. You are in anger or whatever, which are all natural feelings. But those take over. So to move into that, know that they are there, honor that they are there for a reason, but move beyond it. You need to expand beyond it, expand your energy field. If you see all these little thoughts going by, the aggregates, just notice them. But just to say, I desire in and of itself does have power, does have an effectiveness, but you must call into being all the qualities of what that would feel like to you. The human says, well, emotions are great, but they're complicated and they cause problems. Well, they do to a certain degree, but your emotions, imagine if you've had the experience of falling in love, how your heart chakra just expanded, how your world expanded, how you moved outside of your own sense of separate self. Of course, that experience can be time limited, but you know what that feels like. If you haven't had that experience, then work with just coming into this place where everything is, if you will, alive and vibrant and peaceful and as it should be. But peaceful does not mean boring. It does not mean steady. It means that everything is swirling and dancing, but it is all collaborative. It is all in spaciousness. I am being somewhat poetic in trying to explain to you something that's beyond words. But I encourage you, when you go into your meditations, to move into that space. You will find eventually that in the midst of a stressful day, you can just, with intention, go, and you're right there. Oh, well, something may happen and you'll come back, but you are learning to keep moving into that space. And then what you learn eventually is that you can always be in that space no matter what you're doing. And then you are always more consciously co-creating. So I offer this for your consideration. I am Yeshua. Aaron, I pass this back to you. Or should we go to questions? I leave this to you. I am Yeshua. I will stay in the body.
Thank you, my brother. I am Aaron. What Yeshua is describing might be likened to the experience of a very skillful orchestra conductor who has a very well-practiced orchestra in front of him, or her. She has 50, 60 different instruments with wonderful musicians holding each instrument. And instead of playing from a score, they decide we're simply going to co-create beautiful music, improvisation. She turns to the violinist and suggests just begin to play. And then holds her hand out to the flutist, the cellist, the clarinetist, and so forth. And each come in, playing improvisation, listening to the others with the intention of playing something that is beautiful, strong, clear, perhaps not always harmonious. Perhaps at times there's a place for some discord. But it's alive, co-creating that music, holding the intention of no harm to any being, and just seeing what comes out. This is one example. You are each the specialist at your instrument. No one else knows how to play you the way you play. Sometimes what comes out is harmonious, and sometimes it's discordant. If there's ever impulse to do harm through that discordancy, you trust your power of mindfulness and the depth of your loving intention to note impulse to do harm. And you step back and hold space until that impulse fades away. But the impulse to do harm and something that's powerful are not the same. So strength may come out, loudness, brightness, power. And they can play beautifully, each of you with each other's instrument. You arrive at the readiness for this through mindfulness, watching what arises in the mind and body, knowing when there is some strong emotion that's carrying you away with an impulse to do harm, an impulse to move into the separated self and control things, overpower others, or whatever. When you watch mindfully in this way, let's just call it selfing, me going into my separated self. I choose to reconnect. What is this human conditioning to move into the separated self? It usually comes from fear. Separation breeds further separation. And each time you catch it mindfully and just say, no. I choose to co-create. I choose to reopen my energy field and connect and to live from that connection. Then you can do it. And this is really the whole play of a third density experience. But there comes a point where you've learned how to do this. And you're ready to say, okay, I'm not perfect at it, but I kind of have it. I sort of understand, and I'm ready to see what comes next. And that's where we see you now. Ready for what comes next. I pass this back to Yeshua. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Aaron. I am Yeshua. I'd like to take off a little bit on Aaron's description of the orchestra. It's a human tendency to think if there is disagreement or conflict that, or strong feelings, that something is necessarily wrong. This, now it could be, but a lot of it is the human is so afraid of emotion that they often bury it, put it over on the side and don't deal with it until it becomes so intense that it erupts in a way that perhaps one would rather not. But emotion is so key here. When you think of the orchestra improvising and the conductor starts with the cello and the cello decides to pass it on to the violin, if it was all just flowy, that's beautiful for a time, but what livens it up? What livens it up is contrast. What livens it up is difference. What livens it up as opposition. I don't mean opposition as meaning argument or anything, but opposition. When you think of music and you think of a cadence and it's suspended, or there's this intensity of the rhythms or these dissonant sounds, it moves it forward and then it relaxes. And then it happens again and it relaxes. So life flows in this way. It's not all just flat-lined. But to allow it to be there means becoming comfortable with emotions. We have spoken about this before, especially at one of our workshops. So I will take this into a very personal example. You may each have had, I don't mean personal about me, but in a personal relational context. So say you have a long-term relationship, could be intimate with a partner, could be otherwise. And the human tends to think, well, if we love each other, if we're kind, everything has to be sweet and hunky-dory and nobody like talks directly. They beat around the bush and it's just, everybody's tiptoeing all the time. But what would it be to come into relationship and one can say authentically because they feel safe, I am so angry about what just happened. I felt like I was being stabbed. It felt so raw. And I just wanted to, say, I'm out of here. I'm done. And I'm not coming in judgment to you. I'm sharing how it felt to me in this moment. And to be heard, and for the other one to share and be heard. And then to cry, but just allow the tears to flow, to let the anger flow, but it's not directed. It's not either, say, restricted and turned inward, and it's not projected. It's simply shared and it flows. It may not solve the whole problem. The problem could be complex, but there is authenticity in the movement of the conversation and the freedom of the emotions and the exploration together. So I'm sidetracking somewhat, but I want to say to you that co-creation does not mean everybody agrees and it turns out perfect the next day. No, but it means you become authentic and you become real and you open your own creativity and you listen to others and you sort it out and you dance together and then you make something beautiful. But if you take the emotions from it, it loses much of its power. Yet it takes great courage to be authentically with emotion in its power without doing harm to yourself or another. This is an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing learning for the human. So I will stop there and just say, so when you go into your co-creative mode, be fully in it as much as you can. Bring your emotions with you. I am Yeshua. I pause. I will stay in the body. Aaron, I pass this back to you.
I thank you, Yeshua. And this authenticity is one of the things that was most powerful for me 2,000 years ago when I walked the path with you as Nathaniel and you as Yeshua. Your authenticity was overwhelming to me at the beginning because I did not really know how to be that authentic. I was guarded. I was afraid to acknowledge my strong emotion. Your example and your compassion helped allow all of us to become more authentic. As humans, you've been learning this all these 2,000 years. That it is safe to be authentic because you are not ruled by your emotions or your thoughts or your body. You're ruled by your heart. So if anger or some other heavy emotion arises, you're not in danger of killing somebody from that emotion. This, let's call it power over the self, derived through presence. through mindfulness of intention, through understanding fear and the ability to not be reactive to fear. All of this are what have readied you now to move into a higher density. If you had the power 2,000 years ago that you will have as awakened beings of higher density, you probably would have destroyed the world. But now you know you can trust yourself. You know the power of the compassionate heart, the power of forgiveness, of loving kindness, the power of observing how different attitudes, thoughts, and physical sensations can arise without controlling. And if they don't control you, what controls you? And then we're back to that place we gathered in the beginning tonight, where we come together with the power of loving intention, but not, let me say it very clearly, not limiting your power, but bringing in your whole power, knowing your power, and trusting yourselves not to destroy if heavy emotion arises, if fear arises, if pain arises. Trusting yourself to hold this vision of the highest good for all beings and harm to none, and knowing that this is the ground of your true human birthright, ready to embrace the power of your true being. Yeshua, thank you so much for joining me with us tonight. Colette, you can't hear me yet, but thank you. I am Aaron. My love to you all. And may you all find the greatest joy of this process of being incarnate, awakening humans. May it be beautiful for you. May we dance together with love. I am Aaron. I'll release the body to Barbara. Thank you, Aaron. Colette and I offer this on a basis. We welcome your welcome freely, but we also welcome your Dana, and it helps to support us in this human experience. So thank you. Thank you for being with us. That's all. Much love to you all, and good night. Colette, thank you for joining me with us.
Thank you, Barbara. It was wonderful to be with you all.